2017 has been a very good year for video games in my opinion. For today's video, I'll let you guys know my thoughts on what I really enjoyed or found notable and interesting this past year. The range of games is pretty big actually, ranging from mainstream titles everybody already knows about to more obscure stuff. I think it's probably a good idea to have some sort of framework there, so we'll split things up by system, but the games aren't really in any particular order. Let's talk about the Switch first. I already made 2 videos about what I think of this thing, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I will say that it did meet my expectations. Given the fact that the system has to meet a specific price point and things of that sort, I don't think Nintendo could have done much better balancing features, price, and performance. Now, in terms of games, the Switch certainly has a very good library. I'm just going to say straight up that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game for the system and of the year overall. This is the game I spent the most time playing these days. I don't even get that much done in it, I just like to run around and look for stuff. There's such a huge amount of freedom. Once you're done with the tutorial, you can go wherever you want in whatever order you want. I do think that the lack of full-blown dungeons is a bit disappointing, and I don't like the voiceovers either. Out of all Nintendo franchises though, The Legend of Zelda was the one that really benefited the most from a refresh. Ironically, it borrows a lot of elements from the first game of the series. Speaking of refresh, Super Mario Odyssey can be considered one as well. I really like this game too, but I don't think it's on the same level as Breath of the Wild. Odyssey feels more like an evolution. It's not frustrating to play at all, which is, in a way, very nice, but it does feel a bit easy on several occasions. The eclectic mix of art styles is pretty funny also. I do like the fact that there's so much to do and collect, and since it's easy to pick up and play, I end up playing it quite a bit actually. I also enjoyed Mario Kart 8 Deluxe very much, but at the same time I'm not sure what to think of it. Yes, it improves on the original Wii U game, but still, this is what the Wii U game should have been in the first place, so should it really cost as much as a brand new game? I guess since the Wii U was such a flop, most people haven't even played it, so in a way, it's like a brand new game to them. It's a lot of fun though. Mario Kart is one of those few games I like to play online, and it's both really exciting and relaxing to play, oddly. I like that it already includes all the DLC, so at least you don't have to spend any more money on it after you buy it. So far, I only have 4 games for the system, and the last one I haven't talked about yet is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Honestly, despite being really excited about it, I haven't spent more than an hour with it yet. Mainly because I did a Let's Play episode, and now I'm kind of undecided if I should continue the series or not. I don't really want to play it on my own if I end up wanting to continue the Let's Play later on. I did enjoy it so far, but I can't say I like the English voice acting that much. The main character's voice doesn't fit at all in my opinion. Also, he's just an unoriginal shonen hero character with no personality. It's not like Rex, that name, is unlikable or anything. Just unfortunate. And his character design is just silly. I'll have to play it some more before I can come up with a conclusive opinion. Alright, let's talk about PC games. This is going to be a long list. Senran Kagura Estival Versus was something I was quite excited about. The problem with the original PS4 game was, in my opinion, the performance issues. It didn't really consistently stay at 60 frames per second. The PC version does, as it should. I did have problems with it crashing though. Most of the problems were patched, but sometimes the game just decides to take a dump. Happened to me on stream once even. Also, they removed the Miss Shinobi contest thingy for some reason. I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact that some of the submissions were a bit too lewd. Okay, next up is Super Dimension Neptune vs. Sega Hard Girls. It's one of the many Neptunia spin-offs. Actually, it's also a crossover game. It's very similar to most other Nep games, just with a tedious battle system I don't really care for. The story's interesting though, with Iffy being the main character. There's swearing, which is a bit of a surprise, and everyone keeps making sarcastic remarks at each other, which is pretty funny. The story has some surreal elements to it, like Neptune being a friggin' bike for much of the story. The game is overall a bit underwhelming, but the story I found enjoyable as a Neptunia fan. But the biggest problem is that there's no compa. How can you have a game with Iffy as the main character and not have compa in it? So here is another Vita to PC port, Valkyrie Drive Bikuni. Quite an interesting one. It's like Senran Kagura, but the art style and story are very different. Of course, there are some gameplay differences too. Fan service is definitely an integral part of the game as well. Graphics aren't amazing, but that's mainly due to it being a Vita port. The most important thing is that it runs smoothly and controls very well. Hits are satisfying, and the story is somewhat interesting too. Muero Chronicle is another fan service game, but this one is in the form of a dungeon crawler. I found it decent enough. It's got some interesting gameplay elements in every sense of the word. This game gets my personal award for the game least likely to be released for the West. Who would have thought that this thing would ever make it out of Asia? The fact it did is worth mentioning, I think. There are better dungeon crawlers, so my advice would be to buy this game if you see it on sale, because other than the fan service, it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Oh hi, it's a mainstream game. I'm sure everyone's heard of Cuphead. I haven't played a difficult side-scroller in like a decade probably, so it was nice to do so again. I didn't do a review of it mainly because everyone already did so what am I going to contribute? I just did a silly Halloween video just for fun, because people thought it looked creepy. In my honest opinion though, I never thought that the art style ever looked creepy. I've watched cartoons that look like that since I've been a little kid and was never creeped out by them. My main complaint about Cuphead is that it's so boss-focused. I enjoyed the side-scrolling levels much more. The newest KOF game, King of Fighters 14, is very fun to play. It plays as well as the old, much better-looking KOF 13, but it does have many more characters, so in a way, 14 can be considered more interesting in terms of gameplay. I'm glad that the time between the initial console release and PC release is getting shorter and shorter, so I didn't even have to bother getting the PS4 version, because I knew it was going to come out on PC anyways. Okami HD came out quite recently on a bunch of systems. A friend gifted it to me for Christmas, which was extremely generous. Everyone that knows me personally knows that I love this game to bits because I keep going on about it. It plays pretty much like the original PS2 game, but with better graphics and the option for keyboard and mouse controls. I'm enjoying it very much, despite the absence of 60 FPS, and I'll do a review on it at some point. Hopefully sometime January. Onto the PS4. This is an interesting one. It used to be that almost all of the niche Japanese games came out for the PlayStation, but now almost all of the niche games I want to play end up being released on the PC anyway, which is what I've always preferred playing on. I can't help but feel that the PS4 becomes less and less relevant to me year after year. That being said, there were 3 games for 2017 I did pick up. The first one is Cyber Dimension Neptunia for Goddesses Online. It is a spin-off, but I like the approach they took with it, and it feels more like a mainline game. Real-time combat is nice for a change, and I can't believe how nice it is to actually have some new friggin' dungeons for a change. But the main thing letting it down is just how buggy it is. And it doesn't run well either. Even a PS4 should be able to handle these graphics at 60 FPS, but it doesn't. It really needed some more time in the oven, I think. What probably happened was that they were trying to do too much with a new game engine they weren't familiar with. It is being released on the PC early 2018, so I hope they'll address some of those issues. Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash was the other game I picked up. This is also a spin-off game. Instead of being a hack and slash, it's a third-person shooter, and it's very good too, at least in my opinion. This game is right up my alley with its sense of humor, and fan service for that matter. Like For Goddesses Online, it was made by Tamsoft, except they didn't screw up nearly as much. It runs fine enough and looks good, even though it almost always dips below 60 FPS. But most importantly, you don't get stuck in the scenery and other silly stuff like that. I was really impressed how they managed to make a shooter game that works so well, even though they've always been doing the hack and slash games previously. It never feels clunky, and the guns are all very different from each other and really fun to try out. I think Peach Beach Splash is a highlight of the year for me. I enjoyed this game very much and I couldn't stop streaming it at one point. Fate Axela, the Umbral Star. Now this is a game that also ended up being released on other platforms. It's a hack and slash, it runs well, but I feel I didn't get as much enjoyment out of it as I possibly could have, because I don't know anything about the Fate series. I've watched all the seasons of Prisma Ilia, but I don't think that really counts. It's still fun to play though, and it's, since I like these kind of games, it's interesting to play some hack and slash games that aren't all just, Senran Kagura and things of that sort. And that's pretty much it. Certainly it's an oddball list, but that's what I played this year. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. In case you don't know, I've got things you can follow me on, like Twitch and all that sort of stuff. If you like the videos I make, consider checking out Patreon. It's not like the rewards are like breathtakingly thrilling or anything like that, but a couple of dollars a month does give you a few cool perks. I post updates on almost everything I'm working on, and you'll also get early access to videos. And finally, if you're interested in licensed gamer and geek shirts, check out T-Blocks. They are a subscription service, and you can customize what kind of shirts you get. So take a look at that if you want. If you do sign up, you can use the code in the description, and that saves you 10% on your order. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.